Which is easier, cleaner and less dusty, bedding pellets or shavings?
Hi, I'm Renee Ireland and I'm the owner of Hakima Ranch. I've got 9 stalls in this barn, and one of the things that I love using is bedding pellets. Now, the reason I'm doing this video on bedding pellets is because I saw a posting, like a blog post, that was asking people's opinion about what we thought about bedding pellets and what the pros and cons were. So I thought, you know what, I can actually write a blog post or a comment and kind of give people my experience, but then I thought it'd be much better and much easier for me to do this on video. And that way I can show you how to use them as well, and you can kind of get a feel for, you know, how these things work. I've been using them for the past 4 years, and in fact that's not true. I've used them for 3 years. The first year I was using shavings. So let me give you some of the ideas of why I like them. First of all, one of the things that I found with shavings, I needed a lot of storage room. Plus, of course, there's big trucks that come in, you need the space for these trucks, etc., etc. The other thing that I found too is that my rodent problem was much higher. Thirdly, I found that when I'm cleaning my stalls, I find that I end up first of all, they don't absorb much, and I throw out an awful lot of bedding together with the manure. So my manure piles were much bigger and it took way longer to decompose. What I have learned with the bedding pellets is that the speed of cleaning is really increased. I also use a stall cleaner for which these bedding pellets are absolutely perfect. And I'll talk about the stall cleaner in another video, but that's a whole other story. I also like the fact that I don't have nearly as much bedding into my manure pile, which means that I get less carbon in a manure pile. Horse manure by itself is the absolute perfect composition, pH-wise and nutrient-wise, when it composes and it becomes the absolute perfect manure that you can spread out over your fields again. If you have too much carbon in there or too much waste from bedding, that all changes and it doesn't become as effective anymore. One other thing that I really like with the bedding pellets is that they take an awful lot less space in storage. They're easy to handle, I don't use as much of it, and you can buy them in bulk. It's maybe more expensive than to purchase. It's more expensive. If you buy them by skid size, it's less. You could usually negotiate a discount. If you purchase them, you can also easily buy them just by the bag, which, you know, I've just gotten myself a supply just because my store is right around the corner. Smaller quantities just means you do pay more, but you use less. So in the end, you actually end up winning. Now, bedding pellets, they come in different types. That's to say, they all look the same. Really what it is, it's compressed pine, and you just add water to it, and then it becomes sawdust. Now, I think the biggest difference, actually they use them a lot for as stove pellets as well. In fact, that's probably how you know them. Is there a big difference between the ones that are being manufactured for horses versus the ones that they use for stoves? I don't know. I have used both. One thing that I did find when I used the ones that were created or used for stoves, they tend to be a little bit more dusty. These ones, the ones that are created for horses, probably have some kind of preservative in them just to make it less dusty. They both work. I do end up paying more for the ones that are created for horses. Generally, the ones that are created for stove pellet or for stoves, pellet stoves, are the ones that are less expensive. So why don't I show you how to use these things? Because it's actually kind of fun. So the bags are only about 40 pounds. I mean, most of the feed bags are about the same. So I just grab one of these bags and I take them into one of the stalls. Just pick it up. I mean, you can see I don't use an awful lot of bedding just because I've got the ins outs. Also, the bedding pellets are very absorbent, so it's very, you know, if the horses pee inside, it's very easy to just pick it up. Anyways, I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I do. So I've got a pair of scissors. I mean, you can use a knife or whatever, but you need something that is sharp. So what I'm going to do is simply make a cross in the bag. Cut it either way. Then I'm going to fold these little tabs underneath it. Now the reason I do that, I used to do it always like just opening up to the top, but the problem is that when I pour the water into it, this actually starts to close on itself, and it actually creates more of a mess. You end up fighting with it. So rather than doing that, we just put them underneath, and what I'm going to do next is I'm just quickly going to get a bucket of water. Right, so here I've got a bucket of water, and all I'm going to do is just pour it straight into the bag. Now what's cool with this stuff is that as it's absorbing the water, it's almost like popcorn. Now there's always going to be holes in the bag, so you'll have water kind of, you know, spilling out. I don't worry about it. This stuff is so absorbent that by the time it's finished, you kind of spread it over the water, it'll just soak it right up. So the other trick, normally it takes if you use cold water, normally it takes about an hour for this stuff to kind of fluff all up. If you use warm water on the other end, it only takes about 20 minutes. So it's just way more rapid. So let's just give this a minute, and then we'll go and have a look and see what happens to this stuff. Alright, so this is the result of our little project. I actually used warm water on this one, and you can see it just completely fluffed up. So the way to get this out of here, this is what I do. I kind of lift it up, just put my knee in the back, which just breaks it. And then it's just a matter of crumbling all this stuff out of it. And isn't it actually kind of amazing on how much of this you get out of one bag? So for a stall, if I start with a stall right from scratch, these are 12 by 12 stalls. Now I don't really use a lot of bedding because I've got in-out stalls. But one of the things, so I'm going to give you two scenarios. Because I only bed half the stall, when I first start out with a stall, I only use 3 of these bags. If I was to do a full 12 by 12 stalls, I would start off with 5 bags. Now, one of the things I have learned, or what I find, is that if the stalls are used a lot, I only add 1 bag per week, roughly. It depends, of course, a little bit on the usage or what the horses are doing, but that's assuming that they're going to be inside. But I use even an awful lot less than that, and maybe once every 2 weeks, just because I don't use a lot. I only add about 1 bag every 2 weeks. So this is what you get, and after that, I mean, it just becomes sawdust, and it is nice stuff. So I just spread it out, and we get, I mean, you can see how much volume you actually get out of just 1 bag. So just imagine you've got 5 of these. You've got a nice fluffy stall, and horses love this stuff. And I have to admit, looking at this, and then thinking of people that like to just use the pellets by themselves, the pellets are hard to walk on, and the horses can't lie in it. This stuff, you give them a few layers of it, it's beautiful, and they love it. Anyways, I just wanted to share this with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think bedding pellets rock. So have fun. I'll talk to you soon.